Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. It is a victory Monday. The Commanders went down to Georgia, and they beat the Falcons 24-16. And so just like the one popular song, the title of this episode is Peaches and Dubplants. Just wanted to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. My co-host Michael Reed is here with me now. Hall will be joining us here any second now. He's a married man, so he's on his own time, obviously, so we're not going to get on him about that. But that being said, we're going to bring on our guy, Mr. Coach Greg Curl, friend of this show, father of safety Cameron Curl. Thank you for joining us on this Victory Monday, sir. How you doing?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
I know it's always good to get you on here, Coach, especially on a good feeling day like today when Commanders go in there and they get the job done, so to speak, like the coach's signs up in the facility. But before we get into the game, what was your – I know we talked before we started recording, but I'm going to change it up here, Coach. What did you think of the do your job signs being hung up? You as a coach, you obviously have a different viewpoint than a lot of us fans would have.
I mean, I get what Ron is doing and, do your job. But, everybody there is professionals. They know they got a job to do. And everybody from the top to the bottom got a job to do. And it takes everybody from him. So I think that note for do your job wasn't just for the players. It was probably for the staff, the coaches, the trainers. It's for everybody because it takes everybody, Sometimes coaching is not just X's and O's. It's motivation. It's being get your shit together and let's get this done type thing. It's more than just the X's and O's. Sometimes you got to be the psychiatrist and the therapist and all of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's did Greg go? Is he? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know what's going on with my Zoom chat.
No, he just dipped out on us right there real quick. I'm not sure what happened. His connection might have gone bad, or he might pop up here again. But Reed, real quick, we usually do our game beers. We give them out to players that we think deserve to kick their feet up today, enjoy the day, relax. You worked your butt off yesterday. You did your job. Who's getting Michael Reed's Bud Light of the game?
You know what? And look, there's a few directions you could go, and we talked about this kind of before. Like this was kind of like a team kind of effort, but I'm going to single one guy out, and just because I'm proud of him. And look, say what you will about the whole game, but he showed up right when it mattered, and that's Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis with his first career interception up against Bijan Robinson and jumping in front of that pass to steal the game. I'm proud of Jamin after that. I'm super proud of Jamin doing that.
Yeah, and I was very hard on the linebackers last week, and Jamin obviously made an exclamation point this weekend on his play and really making a point. Like Coach and I were talking before we started recording, typically guys on that slant route playing it with the outside leverage, they're not going to be in a position to be able to pick that ball off on a slant like that. That's very hard to do. You either have to jump it or you have to be very, very fast and have good hands, and that's exactly what Jamin showed on that play. Coach, Reed had a question for you, and you got cut off.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm used to it. I'm so used to it. So a lot of people want to point to the offense, to Eric Bieniemy, to his play calling. It was a little bit frustrating at times during the first half, but one person that we haven't seen get involved much has been Jahan Dotson. What do you make of that? Do you think it's just kind of the way things have shaked out early on in the season, or do you think there's something actually there, an issue there?
I've been wanting to watch some more film on Jahan just to see if he's getting separation, or is he getting open? Right. And then two, when he do try, you got to bring it in, man. You got to catch it. So and like I said, I don't know what they see in practice too. Who the quarterback got to feel comfortable before you release that ball. So it depends on who he feels comfortable with and everything. I thought we would see more of the tight ends, to be honest, with EB coming in and everything. But yeah, I mean, you cannot not go to Terry. So Terry gonna get the looks.
Yeah, and
Which is interesting. It's interesting. My bad, Kyle, because during camp, remember everybody was like, Sam Howell to Jahan connection is insane. They're like, this dude could be the number one receiver in a couple of years, and he still could. I mean, we know how talented he is, but it's interesting to see him not being used as much as we thought he would.
I was one of the first ones. Well, I ain't gonna say one of the first ones, but I was one of the ones that was in the whole group about Jahan being, wide receiver number one when they was talking about the turf toe and everything. I was like, this is his chance to move in, and take over.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to beat up on Jahan because we've talked for the past couple weeks that these targets are going to be moving all around every single game. Last week it was Logan Thomas was the leading receiver on the football team, right? And this week he only had one target in the game, and the tight ends really didn't see all that much work. It all changes, right? But with Jahan, you wanted him to be able, when he did get thrown the football, which if it's not going to be a lot, you want it to be for big splash plays, which is what that throw was. But unfortunately, he couldn't come down with it. Doesn't mean that's who Jahan is. That's who he's going to be for the rest of the season. I think Jahan is going to be fresh and ready to go for whenever we do need to go to him a lot, and he's going to answer the call like he usually does. Now we are joined by our other co-host, Mr. Michael Hall. Not sure if he's 100% ready yet. Or how you doing, married man? He's not here with us yet. Coach, next question.
He's already prepared. He's already tuning you out.
I know.
That's what you do in that life, dude.
Man, I should change my screen name to Courtney, and then he'll listen to me. But, Coach, your MVP of the game, because I feel like this is a hard game to say one player in particular is going to be the MVP. So if there was anybody that you could choose on the football team yesterday, who would be getting the MVP?
I don't know if I could give it to one individual. I give it to the defensive unit. I like the chances that they gave the team with the turnovers, the stops, the 3 and outs, the 4th down stops. It took everybody. Even I know for a fact 2 of the interceptions were from pressure up front. So it's all working together. Everything is working together. Some of the quarterback hits is due to we had great coverage. The quarterback didn't have nowhere to go, so we were able to get to the quarterback. So the defense played pretty good as a unit. I don't know. I see some people, was still a little hard at critiquing, our defensive line, but ain't nobody perfect. But hey, they got the job done, and I give the MVP to the whole defensive unit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You brought up the 4th downs. They held Atlanta to 1 for 3 on 4th down. On 3rd downs, they were 5 of 15. Obviously gave up a lot of yards there, but they did their job on 3rd down, getting off the field, and also on 4th down. We're now joined by our co-host, Mr. Michael Hall. How you doing, brother? You got a question for Coach?
Yeah, man. Speaking of the defense, Jamin Davis had the game-sealing pick yesterday. Seemed like both linebackers were flying all over the field. How you think the linebackers played, and specifically how's Jamin been playing in your eyes this whole season?
Jamin is playing, like I expect him to play. Jamin is athletic, man, and like we was talking about earlier on that pick, that was an athletic play. That was a read and reaction play. He reacted
on Jahan Robinson too, right?
Because it you would have to react immediately because, like you said, with him being on the outside to come back and jump that route, that was practice and film watching because he had to have an idea on where they was getting ready to go with that to be there. So that's big ups to not just his athleticism but his intelligence of the game too.
Reed,
yeah, no, and Cody Barton also came out. He made some splash plays. He also had a couple boneheaded plays, as I think we've expected Cody Barton to do. But what do you make of these turnovers? We had 3 interceptions yesterday of Desmond Ridder. What do you think that was attributed to? Do you think that was just kind of like it was bound to happen eventually? They were going to start getting turnovers, or do you think that they just had a good game plan against Desmond Ridder?
I think it was the effect of the pressure too. I think the effect of the pressure got us some and the ability to stifle that run.
Yeah,
because we put Atlanta in a position where they have to throw the ball now. So that's going to give us more opportunities to get those interceptions and get those balls knocked out of the air and try to get some turnovers, man. When we make them have to pass, when we can stuff when they're not that confident in the run, we take that run away from them. They help us with those turnovers.
And Coach, what have we learned about Sam Howell? Because one of my biggest critiques is that he has good games, but we need the consistency, right? And yesterday he was 14 of 23 for 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a rating of 119, which is great. And obviously a lot of short fields with the turnovers, the punt return by Jamison Crowder. But talk about Sam Howell. What are you seeing in layman's terms, and for a simple minded person like me? How do you feel about Sam Howell currently after the win against Atlanta?
I mean, Sam is the man. I like Sam. Sam is young, and as far as I say young, I'm talking about as the number of snaps he's taken in the NFL. He's still young. So what I want to see from Sam Howell is us not having the same conversation toward the end of the season. That we see growth. We see him recognizing more where he is in the pocket and where everybody else is. Not seeing so many ghosts. Learning to probably go through his progressions a little quicker, not hold on to the ball as long. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the league right now that do hold on to the ball a little longer, but he don't have that luxury right now. So, that's all I want to see is growth. If we had to say, if he's when you say consistency, I ain't ready for the consistency yet. I want to be growth. I want to go up, and then let's be consistently good.
Yeah, and the difference between Sam Howell and those other quarterbacks, when they stand in that pocket, they usually have the height to be able to stand in there and throw the ball. Like Desmond Ridder, the one interception he threw to Kendall Fuller, he was standing in the pocket, the pressure was in his face, he was able to throw it over the lineman, but it created that where Sam Howell doesn't have that ability a lot of times. When that pressure's in his face, he has to be able to leave it, and sort of issues brings more sacks than not, but it's just the fact of the matter of where they are right now. Sorry, Hall.
Yeah, no. So what do you make of the? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the coordinators. So Eric Bieniemy, the offense. Under Scott Turner last year, it was kind of bottom of the league. It was a lot of people were calling it stale, vanilla, whatever you want to say. Then Eric Bieniemy comes in. He's got the offense, I think, like middle of the pack right now. They're scoring more points. How's the offense overall been so far? And do you think they can still take it to another level, or do you think that they've hit their ceiling so far?
Sunday, it looked like it was a little bit more of a balance from the offense, a little bit more run pass balance, and that helps too when we get out with the lead first. We can really play our game. We're not having to play catch up and everything, so that helps. But I like what I saw out of that, man, because we got some guys back there that can move the ball. Thinking of B-Rob and Gibson and what's his name? Rodriguez Sanchez.
Yeah, Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, man, that dude came in, had a nice run, man. So I think that nice balance and mix up we did yesterday. I kind of like that.
You're absolutely right. We all love the balance. Coach, to wrap this up, I only have a couple more questions for you, sir. But we like to give out our game beers. And I know I talked to you about MVP, but this doesn't have to be MVP, so to speak. Who's a player that performed well yesterday that you think deserves to kick their feet back, sit back on the recliner, and enjoy a beer tonight because they worked their ass off yesterday?
I don't know, man. I saw a stat that somebody got 11 tackles and 3 pass breakups last night. That's some work. That's some work. Well,
that's who was
some work.
He's got
that's who was getting my game
55 tackles already or something crazy like that.
Yeah. But I don't know, man, because I don't want to sound too biased. Cam was everywhere. He was everywhere on defense, man. Making plays. But I kind of like what everybody was doing, man. he made that good hit, to break up that one pass. Jamin got that, hey, the game is over with this interception. So
Fuller and
I don't
St.
know.
Juice too.
Yeah, Juice. Hey, that one for Juice though, that was a gimme. That was
I know.
them are the ones
he deserved that after the other one. After the
them are the ones that you hate because it was too easy and it was coming right to him. Them the ones that make you the most nervous.
Oh,
He
my
had
fat
time
ass
to
would have
think.
dropped it so fast.
He had time to think. You're absolutely right, Coach. Like I said, I thought the play of the game was Cam Curl tackling number 85 inbounds, forcing the clock to run, which forced a 3rd and 1, and they had to spike it. And then, which led to the next play where Jamin had got the slant. So I felt like the play of the game was that Cam Curl, just the knowledge and the strength to be able to bring down a tight end like that inbounds who doesn't want to go down there. You're absolutely right. I would have given the game beer to Cam Curl as well. All over the field on 4th down, 3rd down, the pass deflections coming up in the run game. He was all over the field yesterday, and the secondary themselves, I thought in that second half, really blossomed and performed at their peak where they're supposed to be at. Next question I have for you, sir. The sacks with Sam Howell. I know we kind of talked about it already, but are the sacks a huge concern to you as a coach looking at this football team?
Yes, because I don't want to end up where we've been for the last 3 and 4 years, and that's in the quarterback carousel. So the more he gets touched, the higher probability of him getting injured. So that's where the sacks scare me. The human body only can take so much. And that's where they scare me because Sam Howell shows at times and many times more than not that he got ice water in his veins. He'll stand in there. Getting hit and getting touched don't seem to rattle him. So that part don't worry me. But as to protect him and to preserve our quarterback, we got to figure. And it's not. And I'm not saying this on the offensive line or scheme because it's a combination of everything.
Right.
It's layers and levels which causing this, and we're gonna have to get everything fixed. From Sam, recognizing to where he is in the pocket and recognizing exactly where the pressure is and not stepping into the pressure. Because he's not aware of it, but it's like I said, it's layers to it, and that's where it concerned me.
Yeah, and to your point about Sam Howell, like kind of having that John Wick attitude when he gets hit, it almost seems like the offensive line gets more rattled than he does. On the one sack that he had, Sadiq Charles, you can see, gets visibly upset. Like he's like, "Oh no, did I get him hurt?" And Sam's like, "Oh, don't worry, dude, I'm all good."
Speaking of ice in his veins, though, that drive against the Eagles to tie the game, like. Nothing was cooler than that.
Nothing, and that
so
was the
calm.
That was the drive that said, "Okay, we're good. We're good. Let's look down. Let's look down the road now." Last question I have for you, Coach. You being a coach, your son being in the NFL on the Commanders, kind of how do you view the benching of Emmanuel Forbes? A lot of people have come out, like in Darius Slay has come out in the support of Emmanuel Forbes, said, "Look, I did this in my rookie year. It happens." Other people are saying that's not what you should do to the young man. What's your feeling with Emmanuel Forbes in the benching? Do you think that's going to help him?
Well, it happens, and it's not the benching that would, as a coach, that would concern me. It's the conversation before it happened. So we don't know the conversation between coach and Emmanuel on before they made the decision. I'm pretty sure Emmanuel's a big boy. He's played college. He's played in the NFL. That there's people after your job every day, and somebody come take your spot. So now he's in the position. He had the spot. Okay, I lost the spot. Now I got to, gain the spot back. And I don't think it's going to hurt him because of who he has around him and the support he has around him. I think it's going to make him better. I think it's going to make him fight harder. I think it's going to make him study better and be more. Because him getting benched, I don't think it was so much of him not having a talent. I just think he was just overeager. He's young. He wants to. He's trying to make a big play every time, and that's the only thing. You don't. Let it come to you. It's gonna come to you. Just keep playing. Let it come to you. And I think that's the only thing. Just get him to calm down a little bit. He'll be all right.
You're absolutely right. The comparison I will say is like when I feed my son like pizza or something. You know, he's putting the entire slice in his mouth. He's like, calm down, take it piece by piece. It's unhealthy. It's good. It's bad for you. You got to listen to me here. To your point about Emmanuel Forbes, just wanting
James
to do
does
too
that
much.
with granola bars. He'll just take the whole thing and be like, like 9 of them, and I'm like, dude, chill.
He learned from his dad.
He did learn from his dad, yeah, because his dad's a big fat guy.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining us as always. Being able to come on here, talk about the game yesterday. It was an exciting one. Very happy to be able to be here, sir. I can't thank you enough for joining us. If you'd just like to plug your social media handle, just in case anybody watching hasn't followed you yet and would like to, sir.
Hey, just Coach Greg C at Twitter. Hey, I don't know what it is on Instagram, but yeah, I'm mostly on here anyway. Y'all probably don't want to follow my Instagram.
I'm sure I would, Coach. I can't thank you enough, sir. Have a great evening. Enjoy the week. Have a safe week, and enjoy the game this weekend, brother.
All right, bros. Y'all be good.
You too,
man.
sir.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Drive safe, sir. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Coach Greg Curl. Absolutely love being able to speak with him. And congratulations to Mr. Hall. We got to see him get married on Saturday. But I mean me and Hall and everybody who was there. But before we get into our next guest, who's coming up here in about 10 minutes, we want to do game beers of the victory yesterday of 24-16. Reed had already put his in. Hall, who is getting your game beer? Who deserves to kick their feet up, enjoy, because they kicked ass yesterday?
Yeah, it's got to be, for me, a guy that when he got in, he just made the most of the reps that he got. Khaleke Hudson. I mean, as soon as he got in the game, he just flashed, made plays, made the big stop along with Jonathan Allen on the 2-point conversion to hold them. And obviously we won by 8 points, so that was huge. So, Khaleke Hudson is a guy that, like I said, a lot of people have been calling for his name because of the linebackers and Cody Barton's kind of been playing down, but I think Cody Barton had a pretty solid day yesterday. But Khaleke Hudson is definitely a dude that when he gets in the game and he gets his reps and he gets his time to play, it seems like he makes the most of it. So he definitely gets to kick his feet up and enjoy a beer after stopping that 2-point conversion yesterday.
Sir, you are absolutely right. And it wasn't just a 2-point conversion that he did it on. Whenever he was in the game, he came up and made that run stop. If you go look at that 2-point conversion in detail, like pay attention to Khaleke, also watch Jamin and look at the difference in how Khaleke goes against the running back and how Jamin is. And it kind of just, they're two different players. It just shows you the difference in philosophy on how to attack that. But both of them together combined were able to stop that guy, and which was absolutely huge. I'm going to steal 2 of them because you guys are racist and don't want to give any credit to my guy. One being Casey Toohill, 2 sacks, 2 tackles, 3 quarterback hits. He forced the 1 grounding penalty on Desmond Ridder, which was absolutely huge for this team. And obviously Cam Curl would have gotten one if Coach didn't already take him. But the other, Mr. Cornelius Lucas, who stepped in for Charles Leno. And I can't tell you guys enough how great of a job he did in coming in relief for Charles Leno. And prayers to Charles Leno and his family. I know it's incredibly tough what they're dealing with right now. It's a tragedy, a tragic situation. And my prayers, I've said some prayers for them, and I know my family is, and it's unfortunate. We're with them. And I'm just glad that Cornelius came in. He deserves a game beer for coming in relief and really showing out at left tackle and not being a reason as to why this team was put in a bad position. The dude was a positive player throughout the entire game. Anyone else you want to add, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Brian Robinson, just because when his number is called and he gets the opportunity, he's gonna bring the boom. The dude just all he does is crush Falcons players on touchdown runs. It's pretty. Always nice to see the too.
That was like literally the only thing I noticed from that entire run, other than it was like a greatly set up play. But the one thing I noticed from that entire run was I was just like, when he was truck stick the hell out that dude, I was like, I rewinded it like 4 different times. Like I was just like laughing so hard because the dude literally was just like Jazzy Jeff getting thrown out of like on Fresh Prince, like
That's exactly what it was like. And
he did Uncle Phil him. That's for sure.
If B-Rob didn't truck him, then Sadiq Charles was looking to too, because that dude was hell-bent on hitting somebody, and it was awesome to see. But, Brian Robinson, I've said this after he was drafted, before last, he is a train. When he gets going, you don't want to be in front of him, because when he hits you, you don't want to be there, because you probably won't be there when he's after you. He won't be there when you're done. And that definitely happened. And credit to Terry McLaurin for his block on that play, which was absolutely phenomenal. And then last one, Danny Johnson, I thought came up huge in some situations yesterday. Yeah, he got picked on here and there, but that being said, he came in, was able to get a crucial pass deflection, just did what this team needed him to do. And Danny Johnson deserves it. There's a lot of people that deserve game beers for this game, but I think that's a good wrap up. But now, the next question we have in the Discord, or not in the Discord, from the Colonel, Reed. He said this is a totally different team on the field yesterday against Atlanta than last week against Chicago. Everyone stepped up their game. I was thrilled to see Jamison Crowder get that long run back. Besides mental preparation, what changed between last week and Sunday's game at Mercedes-Benz Field?
Cockiness, more than likely. I mean, you're going into the game against the Bears, who are known to be the worst team in the NFL. Everybody's already chalking it up as a W. You lost to a Super Bowl contender in the Bills. You brought a Super Bowl contender in the Eagles to overtime with a fantastic drive to tie the game up. You're feeling good, and then you overlooked them. I think that was a lot of it. I mean, say what you will. I mean, I know that they're pros and they shouldn't do that, but that's probably got something to do with it, because it was worst game I've ever seen played in my life. And then yesterday, it's kind of like, all right, they didn't play a perfect game, but they found a way to beat a much better team than Chicago, and they ended up pulling it out. So I think, look, say what you will about Ron Rivera. I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but the do your job thing probably had a little bit of motivation, a little bit of work for everybody to just remember, just focus on what you got to do. All you got to worry about is you and your man, the guy in front of you, and your assignment. That's all you got to worry about. And that probably had something to do with it. So.
And I think there's the structure of the way that these two teams are, Colonel, because they have a lot of similarities to us, and they're geared towards our strengths. Where like the Cinco package, the 5-man front, I talk about it all the time. And Rivera in his presser today gave some insight in saying, obviously the Falcons had more heavier set formations, and that's why we used the Cinco package as much as we did. And I think just the matchup itself, you saw the difference in just the game plan schematics. But I think the game plan altogether was so much better this time around, especially early on. Obviously, they got the 17 points in the first half. You'd like to see more added on in that second half. But you kind of just saw the execution meet up with the scheme. And we talked about it with Coach Greg Curl, where they sent, Jack Del Rio sends that blitz on the Kendall Fuller interception, and that pressure gets into Desmond Ritter's face, and he throws that quick route. And because it's third down, they're trying to get that quick route to move the chains, but they have pressure in their face. So it was forced by Jack Del Rio to throw a shallow route. But then the execution level of top of that with Kendall Fuller reading it on time and just immediately going for that ball and catching it, it's a combination of where execution and scheme mix together, and it really turns into flowers.
Yeah, just to add on to what you guys said, I think it was more of like also I think it was just they stopped the run. I mean, at the end of the day, they stopped the run. They've seen throughout this whole season.
They held Mr. Bijan Robinson to less than 39 yards rushing.
Exactly. And so like you've seen them getting gashed throughout the game and throughout the whole season in the run game, up the middle, on the edges. And so I just think yesterday, especially with a run heavy team like Atlanta, who, like I said, their offense is based through the run game, and they do everything through Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Drake London. If you shut down the run game, you get ahead of them, and they've been a team where you get ahead by 2 scores. It's kind of hard for them to fight back because of the Desmond Ridder and like the passing game, and they're such a run heavy team. So I think that it was just like you said, a result of guys like playing within themselves, playing within the scheme, doing their jobs, like the sign said, and them actually sticking to the game plan and stifling the run, stopping their game plan, and then just adding on, especially on the defensive side. Offense, I mean, it was a lot of good in the first half. The second half was horrible. But I just think defensively, you saw that they were committed to stopping the run, committed to the game plan, and they actually played the game plan out the way that they wanted to, and it was successful.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And you sound like you're still recovering from your wedding, by the way. Before we are joined by our next guest, do you just want to talk about the wedding?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. Appreciate everyone coming out.
Reed?
But
Nah,
I'm just joking. Nah, Reed texted me, so
No, I know. Dude,
nah,
you
Reed texted
don't
me.
know
I'm
how-
joking. I'm joking.
You don't know how mad Reed was. Like, he was blowing up my phone while I was at the wedding, like, so angry. And it's all good, man. We're just like
No, it's not. That
we
got
just
me
like-
sick, dude.
I know. We just like to poke fun at you. All right.
You
Yeah,
guys
nah,
can poke
but-
the bear. I'm joshing.
You did a great job with the vows, man. I'm serious. You did a
Appreciate
great
it, man.
job with it.
Appreciate it.
You had
Did you?
Katie choked up. Reed was probably crying all the way in Gettysburg.
Oh,
when
I
he
was
heard it.
choking. Something.
Please stop.
Them
Oh
Grizzlies.
man, but nah, it was a good time. Appreciate everyone coming out and appreciate everyone celebrating and showing us love. And yeah, man, just man, like I said, it was a good time. Wish I could party like that every weekend. It was fun.
It
Yeah,
looked like it. I saw the video of Hall dancing on a table.
dude. What I didn't capture in that video of him is him swiping his toes, his feet on his shoes. You know, like, and it was.
He was doing the John Cena.
Yeah, it was very sick.
Yeah.
Very sick. All right, guys. Next question we have is from Tim Towner in the Discord chat. His question is, Hall, what do you think Ron Rivera is going to do with Forbes? But that being said, I'm going to have to procrastinate as much as possible here because now we are joined by our next guest, Mr. Zach Selby, writer for the Washington Commanders. Thank you so much for blessing us on this Victory Monday, Zach. How are you doing?
Much better than I was last week.
Yeah.
You're not
That's
the only
it.
one, Zach.
I would have been big sad if we just
Do you think that's the antidepressants or do you think that's the W? Because I had to go on antidepressants after that terrible game.
Yeah, now Hall's nickname is Eeyore.
yeah.
Hall's nickname is Eeyore, Zach. So we're very happy that he's in a good mood today, being able to talk about this victory, 24-16. Talk to me about this game in particular. The offensive line, they were without Charles Leno. Obviously, prayers out to them. But how did the O-line perform? 5 sacks were given up, Zach. But do you think that's all on the offensive line?
No, I don't think so. I think, honestly, there were a lot of times when I think it's just Sam holding on to the ball for too long or not throwing it away. I think there were a lot of times where I looked back and saw like Sam in the pocket. I was like, wow, that's a lot of time he's back there. And it looks like it's pretty clean for the most part. There was one time where I think it was the last sack that he had where he had pretty much a lot of time to throw, and then he didn't see his first or second read, and he kind of looked down and started kind of going into freak out mode a little bit, and that's what led to the sack. I think that was the case for a lot of the sacks on Sunday, is that you see Sam, who is, he's got the arm strength, he's got the talent, but it seems like his pocket awareness still needs some work, which you don't see it all the time, but you do see it in those very unfortunate moments, like that the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. Like it's just really unfortunate to have back-to-back sacks when you could have almost put the game away right there at the first half, going up 24-7. That would have really been impressive there. But instead, you have to go into halftime with taking 2 sacks and then a throw into the dirt. So. But I think it eventually is going to work out. It's just you got to go through these growing pains, and this is one of those things.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody today, Selby, if Tom Brady is a good example just to how somebody maneuvers in the pocket. Like sometimes he looks like he has eyes in the back of his head, the way that he's able to move around. And I put it up to situational awareness because that's not something that can be taught, right? That's more experience based because of how many games Tom has played, and he knows how things kind of work, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the things that you feel really weirdly positive about Sam's development is that a lot of these things that he's struggling with aren't skill set stuff. They're not mechanics or some other issue. They're all we would love for you to have this right now, but it's just you only have 7 starts, so you need to you just need to get more starts under your belt. So that while it is frustrating in the moment, it's in the long term development of his skill set. I feel you just got to deal with it, which is the most least analytical thing you can say, but just the way it is.
Yeah, that's the truth. Sometimes that's the best answer because that is it's just some things are just going to come with time with Sam Howell. The more reps that he gets, like we talked, Tom Brady wasn't that way early on in his career. He took a lot of sacks, but it's something that he learned. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. I'm saying he's Tom Brady. He's the next Tom Brady. Yeah. But so what do you make with this whole Jahan Dotson situation? I talked a little bit about it with Coach Curl earlier. Is Jahan not getting targets? Is that just something just the way things are kind of shaken out, or do you think that he's just not being targeted as much because he's not getting open, or what do you think this is?
I wouldn't say it's because he's not getting open, because that drop that he had, while it was unfortunate, he was wide open.
Yeah.
I just think it comes down to, if you look at it, like, there's a lot of skill players on this team. Like, you got Terry, you got Curtis, you got B-Rob, AG, Logan, Cole Turner. Like, you've got, like, they've done a good job of, like, stockpiling offensive weapons in the last 3 or 4 years. Problem with that is that now you kind of have a little, like, maybe a little bit of a surplus is maybe almost too strong of a word, but like there's a lot of players that you can get the ball to on this offense, and there are going to be moments when it's just not going to be there for certain players. Like AG had, he had some looks every now and again, but I would say that maybe, like, in a couple weeks he might get more catches, or he didn't get as many like in the previous week, or stuff like that. Is just really, it goes into game plans, it goes into scheme, it goes into just who's open and who isn't. And also, like I said, like, there's just a lot of players on this team you want to get the ball to. And I'm pretty sure that, like, Jahan's skill set is great. He's a good player. He's like, that didn't change from last year. It just comes down to the opportunities. Just like when you have all those different playmakers, it's hard to create opportunities for every single one of those guys in one game.
It's weird too, because this summer all reports were that, like, he was Sam Howell's guy. Like, that's who Sam Howell was going to more than anybody, it seemed like. So I think they'll get it going. James, chill.
Yeah, I think that you saw what he did last year up in New York, so I think maybe this will be the week where he kind of comes onto the scene and explodes again like he did last year. But 6 games into the season so far, they're a 500 team right now. You can go back look at the Philly game, and maybe they go for 2 at the end, they win that one, and maybe they handle business against Chicago. And maybe looking at a 5-1 team, it would be a whole different type of season right now. But there's been some players, especially in last game, that have stepped up. Like Casey Toohill stepped up yesterday. We were just talking about Khaleke Hudson yesterday. So who's someone, in your opinion, through 6 games who is kind of like not really like a talked about guy, like they getting all the headline, getting all the shine, but has really kind of just been a standout guy in your opinion?
Not really talked about that much. That's an interesting question. Maybe it is just, I want to say Khaleke Hudson, just because he had a great game yesterday with the stop of the 2-point conversion. There's a play he made where he caught up to Bijan on the back side of a play. Like, that is really hard to do. Like, even at the NFL level, when you got a bunch of freaks out there, like, that is incredibly difficult to do. Like, on an outside zone play, like, you just don't find a whole lot of, like, players that can do that. So maybe that's the guy that I will say. And I will say, like, whenever Cole Turner gets the ball, he does great. But, like, just for the sake of recency bias, I think I've been kind of wanting Khaleke to do a little bit more. Give him some more opportunities, and I think they're going to. And he didn't play a ton of snaps, but, like, if he does, even if he gets like 10 snaps a game, he makes plays that consistent of a clip as he did yesterday, then I would feel pretty good about, like, at least the depth at linebacker, knowing that you've got a guy who has that kind of speed, who can make plays on the edge. And I have a lot of confidence in him. I mean, he worked really hard to get back on the active roster. So we'll see where he goes. But I'll just say I have my eye on him, especially against New York, who, they like to run the ball too. So and especially since Daniel Jones is apparently one of the most sneaky athletic quarterbacks out there. Like, you need somebody who can catch up to him, apparently.
You're absolutely right, Selby. That being said, my next question I have for you, injury update. There's 2 sides of this. Injury update I want to ask you, and then the other following is, I'm very hungry right now, so it's time for some chowder. Let's talk about our guy Jamison Crowder. He is a dog, and so to speak, he marked his territory yesterday with that punt return. Talk to us about Jamison Crowder. Do you think that he is kind of solidifying himself as the punt returner for this football team?
Well, I would say, he's probably already solidified it, because there's really no one out here to compete with him.
If Dax came back today, Selby,
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he would come back.
Okay.
Honestly,
okay.
I don't think that's really like any breaking news or anything, but, like, they kind of, I think they're in a situation now with IR where they can kind of bring players back almost like whenever they want. Like, if you think about it, because I we'll see where it goes with them. That's all up to them. But like I think they're kind of waiting on the timing of all that other stuff. But I do think Jameson is. I mean, he's the guy, and I think one thing that really impressed me about him is like he always seems to like want to like catch the ball and do some kind of yardage. But I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen him fair catch a punt. Like it seems like he's always trying to get some yardage there, and sometimes I wish he would fair catch it. But other times, like you see why the gamble pays off because he makes one cut and he's gone. Like he goes up for 61 yards. Yeah, so that's kind of like the risk and reward you live with him. But he's still got a little bit of burst to him. So excited to see what he does. I don't like. Who knows what's going to happen now? I might not want to punt towards him ever again, but yeah, I think he's done a good job of coming in off the street and doing his job for this team.
I'm with you. Now to wrap this up, I only have a couple more questions for you. To get a little touchy subject, Emmanuel Forbes. I don't want to get in like when he's going to come back, whatever have you, but with him not getting many snaps, do you think this is more like situational because of the heavier set, the run focused type of from Atlanta, or do you think it was more so of disciplinary?
I wouldn't even say it was disciplinary because that makes it seem like it's some sort of punishment, right? Like I don't necessarily even think that it's that. I just think because they still believe in the guy. I think it's just they want him to reset a little bit. I think that he had a tough couple of games there. And as all rookies do, and all corners do, to be honest, like even Darrelle Revis had his games where he was going to get burnt. Like that's just the way it is for that position. But I think you want him to kind of just get a different perspective on things. You want to get things from a different angle. Now, I mean, we'll see how many snaps he gets next week. Because I think they would really, I think they would need him for sure. At some point against the Giants. I mean, you want to have all your weapons out there as much as you can, and I mean. We'll see. We'll just see. I'll just say that. But I definitely do think that he's going to benefit from it for sure. I think it's going to give him a chance to kind of reset his mind a little bit after going through some tough matchups with AJ Brown and DJ Moore and all those other players. I think seeing all those guys like that's a tough matchup for any corner to deal with. But yeah, I think it's far too early to make any kind of judgment on what Emmanuel can or can't be. In his career, because I mean, for goodness sake, he's only had 5 games where he's played meaningful snaps.
I'm with you. Now, last question I have for you: what is one area that Washington has to improve on moving forward? On third down, they were 2 for 10. On defensively, they held Atlanta to 5 of 15 on third down, which is better than they have been recently. They had 3 sacks. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone, and so was Atlanta. So, what's one area that Washington has to improve in, Zach?
I'm gonna say this because I noticed this yesterday as I was looking back on some of the stats. I think second half like offensive like production, I think is yeah, I think they could definitely do better with that because obviously you had the Bears who they were playing from behind and they had to put up points and everything like that, but it seemed like in like the third and fourth quarters, they have like these lulls where they're not as productive as they could be. So, for example, like this past week, I mean, they scored 20. They scored 24 points. They scored the touchdown off the turnover there in the third quarter. But after that, you have 4 straight punts to end the game. Like that's just not great at all. And then also you could even say like go back to the third quarter against the Eagles, where the offense went through like this. I want to say like a relapse, more like it just seemed like they were out of sync, and all of a sudden Philadelphia's back in the game because they have like these periods where they just can't really. It's like their production just hits a wall a little bit, and then you could even also say against the Broncos, like they had like They had a weird couple of drives where I mean they were up by like 9 points or something like that, and they just seemed like they just kind of like hit a wall. Like I think they had like a couple of 3-and-outs during the like the second half of that Broncos game that really allowed the Broncos to get back in it after being up so much. So I want to see them like consistently sustain drives in third quarter. So whenever you're ahead and you have a lead, don't allow the team to build momentum on that and start to stack points against you and come back. Because I mean, it's not like Atlanta didn't have opportunities to win that game. Like
You're right.
they had multiple chances to at least tie the score in the last 5 minutes. And if it wasn't for Desmond Ridder like tossing interceptions, like who knows what would have happened. So yeah, I want to see them like get a lead in the first half, and then the second half keep that consistency going, so you don't have to like all of a sudden try to like play catch up again in the fourth quarter to keep those leads.
Yeah, a comfortable win is something we would buy here, Mr. Selby, if we had the ability to. I can't thank you enough for joining us on this Victory Monday, brother. Before we get out of here, just like to plug your social media handle, just in case anybody watching hasn't followed you yet and would like to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter/X. I will never call it just straight up X. Like it's so strange for me to call it.
Sounds like a
like
dating website. You can find me on X.
Yeah.
It's like what?
Twitter, yeah.
So find me on Twitter/X at Zach Selby WC. You can find me on Instagram at Zach D. Selby. And yeah, if you want to check out some dessert pictures on Instagram, you can do that.
My man.
They're the
Selby,
best,
yes
dude.
or no question,
They're so
real quick.
good-looking.
Do you expect anything long term or any concerns with Jerron Payne or Montez Sweat, who came out of the game briefly yesterday?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't seem like Rivera was too concerned about him.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Selby, have a great evening, sir. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We'll see you next time.
All right, y'all take it easy.
Appreciate
Selby.
it.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Zach Selby. Always appreciate.
I wanted to ask that. Whatever happened with Jerron Payne? Like he just like went down to his stance, and all of a sudden he just
messed
fell
up his
over, and he
finger.
was like holding his hand, like
he dislocated his finger, right, and then he popped it back in and came back in. But like, yeah, it was pretty awful.
They
Pretty
called
sick,
a penalty on him too on that play. I think for encroachment.
I think he was trying
because he
to
fell
stop
to the
himself.
ground and like just leaned into the dude.
Okay,
yeah. All right, guys.
That's why I was like, he just got into his stance and it fell. I was like,
let's go to
maybe
our
that much fat on your fingers isn't good.
Let's go to our fan questions. This one is from Tim Towner. Reed. Question for the pod: what do you think Ron Rivera is going to do with Forbes? Rapid fire.
I think he's going to continue to subscribe to Forbes magazine. No, I think he's going to put him back in slowly but surely and let Forbes kind of clear his head mentally and get back in the game, kind of reset.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of almost like forcing his way to say, hey, look, man, you got to prove it to me in practice that you're going to be on the field. And I think Danny Johnson is naturally very good against the run. He showed that a lot. And so I think against Atlanta, it's probably better to have Danny in there when Emmanuel has had those mental lapses in the run game. But I do expect Emmanuel, if we're going up against the Giants next week and they do a lot of like empty sets, I think Emmanuel would get more snaps, more so than anything else. And he was very happy for Kendall Fuller yesterday. If you saw him, he ran down the sideline and celebrated with Fuller. And so it's not like he's over there sulking. He's happy. He's happy for everybody. He's excited. And so everything is okay, guys.
It was funny though, because then Fuller ran a double move and Emmanuel Forbes kept going. Emmanuel Forbes, he couldn't stay with him.
You're so stupid. This next question is from Orange Crush 92 Hall. He says, if we want to be champions, we can't be satisfied with simple silver linings. The Falcons game was a bit miserable watching the defense bail out the offense, getting turnovers, and then letting the Falcons throw/run 400 yards on them. Our offense put up less than 200. Is Washington winning due to mistakes by the opposing team or Washington's own efficiency?
It's kind of like a chicken or the egg kind of conversation because you can say Washington's defense caused those bad plays and those turnovers by Desmond Ridder. But on the same end, you could say that also, yes, they gave up a bunch of yards, but we've always talked about that bend but don't break mentality. And at the end of the day, like, yes, it does suck to get carved up a little bit, especially by like someone like Desmond Ridder. It does suck to get, even though they held Bijan Robinson to less than 50 yards, just overall their rushing game. I mean, it's a rushing team, so I was kind of expecting them to go for over 100 or something like that. So I'm not really worried or concerned about the amount of yards they're giving up per se. I'm more concerned about third down efficiency and, like you said, the bend don't break and how many points they're giving up. So if they're giving up 500 yards a game, but they're only giving up 17 points a game, I'd rather take the 17 points over, hey, you gave up 500 yards. But yeah, I think that they definitely got to tighten up, and I think that they're right on path for their Ron Rivera special since he's been here, where you get off to the slow start, but gradually in the middle of the season, you build that momentum, get a little streak going. So we'll see where they go, but I do think that I think yesterday they kind of turned a corner, but we'll see against New York because you know how New York is against us.
Yeah, and you could say a lot of players on this football team, OC, kind of came alive in that fourth quarter, and they really showed why they're here. I think Cornelius Lucas was obviously great in that. But I know what you're saying because this isn't how they played yesterday is not this team's full potential and how they could play a complete game. They're not firing on all cylinders, you can say, throughout these four quarters, but they're still finding a way to win. I think EB saying you just finding a way to get our asses across the finish line. And I think that's what we did against Atlanta. And they're not close to where they haven't peaked yet. They haven't gotten to that point yet, to your credit, OC. But I do think in the NFL, you can't really harp out too much on one or the other. But you have to understand, I think you can't get comfortable. You have to understand that, yes, you did what you needed to do against the Falcons and you got lucky. That's not going to happen every week. We've seen bad luck happen here in Washington multiple times on Monday Night Football, on prime time, and we saw it not too long ago. And so it's one of those things where you have to go in and know that you're going to get the best out of every single team, and you just got to be able to win against them. But I think Washington not making many mistakes was the real reason why they won yesterday. Because, Sam Howell didn't turn over the football. You didn't see AG turning over the football. And then defensively, did you see those huge chunk plays of missed tackles and stuff? You didn't see that. They were very good in that sense, but they still have a ways to go. They still have different things that they can do to fix themselves and to be able to put themselves in that position. And hopefully the confidence built in that fourth quarter yesterday for the defense can really transition and blend into next week, this week against the Giants, because we're definitely going to need it.
I heard this. I was listening to Grant and Danny like on the way home from work earlier, and Grant threw this stat out that 3 wins. In the 3 wins they have so far, they've had Sam Howell's not turned the ball over, and he's had no turnover worthy plays graded by PFF. So to your point,
you also said that on Thursday or Monday of last week about the turnovers as well. You said when we get a turnover, we usually win, right?
Yeah,
Give yourself
exactly.
credit.
So I think that like to your point, as long as we're being safe with the ball, and I know a lot of people are harping on the sacks, but I'll take a sack over a turnover any day. So, I mean, as long as they're not turning the ball over and the defense is starting to get on the good side of the turnover category, I think that they're going to stay on a good path of winning games. Because like you said, when they turn the ball over and they don't turn the ball over, it seems like that's the winning recipe for them.
Yeah, now to OC's credit, like all 4 of those quarters yesterday against the Falcons, yes, we won. But if you play that sort of game against the Cowboys, they're going to come back and they're going to, or the Eagles or the 49ers, they're going to score those points, to OC's credit. So yes, they did it well to beat the Falcons, but that's not going to be the consistent basis going forward. You still have to do better than that, but they did what they needed to do to get the W. Next question from Andy Lockhart, Mr. Irrelevant. What's up, Andy, in the UK? Oi!
He's not irrelevant.
He's not irrelevant at all.
He's beautiful.
His question
he's my
is,
beautiful boy.
Reed, will Ron do his job against the Giants this week?
No, he's not going to show up. Yeah, no.
That was literally going to be my response.
No, yeah, he's gonna show up. It's always tough against the Giants because the Giants, for whatever reason, that's just how we play. Even as lowly as they are, as gross as they are, as bad as they are. They can't even win games that they should, like the Bills. But I'm hoping Ron does his job. If not, I'm coming for it.
Yeah, he's gonna do
all the union. I'm coming.
He's gonna do his job, Andy, and he's gonna do it because we have to think about this from a common sense viewpoint. In Ron Rivera, his team, everything that he has, what this team is Ron Rivera. He brought this all together. He could have not re-signed Deron Payne. He could have not re-signed John Allen, these other guys. This is his team, right? He cares about it. He doesn't like to see us lose against Chicago and then yell at the team and say, "Oh, do your job." Everything that happens to his football team, I'm pretty sure Ron Rivera is taking to heart because he's the one that sculpted this. And he's the architect of the building. He's not going to let whatever happens to the building just say, it's the building. It's not how Ron Rivera, honestly, in my opinion, is going about it. So he has the motivation to do his job. And I think that he's done a damn good job at it to this point, given with everything that's happened over the years. That being said, obviously, everyone in that building can do more, and I'm sure Ron Rivera is. And he doesn't need any fans, any idiot on here with a microphone telling him that he needs to do more. I'm sure he knows that.
You need to do more. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I think he'll do his job. I mean, really on game days, his job is like clock management, timeouts, and that kind of stuff. He's not really like it's like obviously he's not controlling the offense. And then even with the defense, I think he kind of like lets Jack just do his own thing, and he might have a little bit input here and there. But yeah, I mean, he's done his job so far for the most part, as far as like timeouts and clock management and that kind of stuff is for like as far as like the details of being a head coach on game day. Haven't really had any complaints other than like people complaining that he just stands there with his arms crossed on the sidelines looking stoic. But
Maybe he should
again, I
stick
can
his
bring
thumb
up.
up his ass. Maybe people will like that more.
I know, right? Like
Yeah, that would
I can name
actually
many
I
head
know
coaches
Reed
that
would.
are.
that'd be must see TV. Yeah.
I mean, that might be a good
little
paying job. You never know.
spicy Latino sticking his.
Let's go a rapid fire. Big Tony Shivers in the Discord. Reed, what do you credit the solid run defense to? Atlanta hangs their hat on the run game, and Bijan didn't run wild.
Dude, yeah, and you saw their last year. I mean, we saw what Atlanta was doing. We've seen the way that all the highlights of Bijan Robinson so far this year, and they've improved their run game from last year. But this year, they came in with an idea and a plan, and they executed it. They said we're not going to get beat by the run. People did their jobs, wrapping up on tackles. That they did their assignments. They stuffed their holes as Kyle does. Kyle knows so well, and they plugged their
Kyle
gaps.
does. You're right.
Kyle knows all about stuffing holes on the boys, and yeah, especially down in Atlanta. And, yeah, they did.
What? Why?
Oh, Kyle, you're a freak in Atlanta, dude. Come on, you're known. You're known in the ATL.
Tony.
They say Kyle's legs up, our legs down. That's what they say. That's what they say. I was like, what? That's disgusting, Kyle.
The run defense, I think it's schematic. I think it's just based on how this team responded in a big way, using the Cinco package, Tony, being able to boggle up those the run gaps, but also having the edges play that vertical seal off. And Ryan Kerrigan had been preaching, and the coaching staff have been preaching that to the guys this week. Ron Rivera talked about in his presser. Obviously, for very good reason. Atlanta likes to attack the edges, and they did phenomenal at that. They held Algier and they held Bijan to, I think, less than 90 yards rushing on the day, which is phenomenal given the fact of the track record of the team leading up into this point. Now, the next question is from Chris Comerton. Hall, at this point, it's obvious EB didn't call plays in Kansas City. Maybe a few, but you can tell it was never his responsibility. Do you think he will get better at play calling soon, or do you think it will take some time?
I mean, his play calling has been pretty good so far. I think that a lot of people get caught up in, oh, he's not running the ball, he's not doing this, and the balance of the game.
Throw a screen.
Yeah, he's not.
Stop.
But I think that the game flow determines how you call the game. So like you can go into the game plan or into the week with like, yeah, we're going to be 60% pass and 40% run, and like it literally rarely ever plays out exactly how your game plan goes, planning throughout the week. So like look at the Bears again; they threw 55 straight passes. Like and you got to have B-Rob got to have more touches. Well, when you're down by like 4 scores, like you can't give B-Rob touches, you're like,
yeah.
So it's just like, I think that
7 runs ago.
yeah, like exactly.
Well,
like I think that
remember I talked earlier about the experience and having the pocket presence and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's why EB throws it 55 times, and when you're down a bunch of scores, because Sam's going to have to learn that pocket presence in those situations because the DNs are coming.
And that was going to be my point. I'm like I was going to say that. I was going to say that. Just like Sam Howell's kind of learning on the job and going through the process of like, oh, this is my first time experiencing this. This is my first time going through this. It's the same thing with Eric Bieniemy where, oh, this is my first time calling plays. We're down by 4 scores. Let me do this. Oh, this is my first time being up a couple scores. Let me just try to call this type of game plan. So I think that as the season goes on, just like Sam Howell's going to gradually get better week to week, I think you're going to see Eric Bieniemy week to week get better and better. I mean, he's already called the second half of the Denver game or the Eagles game, stuff like that. He's already had a couple great, masterful games. It's just all about, just like Sam Howell, being more consistent.
Now, one thing I will say.
And also, I was going to – no, I'm just joking.
This last question is from Jeff Miles, our boy. His question is, any major concern for our defense with injuries to Sweat and Deron Payne with Forrest already being out? No, I don't have any major concerns in that regard. I think we're okay in that sense. But obviously, you're always weirded out by it, right?
Yeah.
I will say this to Chris's question though. Do you think he will get better at play calling? The way that I look at, like, if you look at Jay Gruden is a titty guy because, he's good at the pass game, right? He's good at the pass game.
I always pegged him as more of an ass man.
No, he's a titty guy. And the reason for that is the titty guys like the pass game. They're really good at coming up with route concepts. And like Kyle Shanahan's one of those guys. They're really good at pass concepts, opening things up for the quarterback, making it easy on him for the wide receivers. With EB, it's more so he's
what kind of guy is Kyle Shanahan then?
EB's an ass man, and EB.
EB's.
Can you let me finish this? And EB is an ass man in the sense that he loves to go to the tight end and to the running back centric kind of offense, right? When his wide receiving routes that he throws out there, it's not to create a bunch of open lanes for the wide receivers. It's more so to clear things out for a wide receiver. So it's not like you're going to get a bunch of targets all over the place. It's not the way the EB calls his plays. If that's what you want, go back to Jay Gruden. You know what I mean? But if you really want to win football games and being able to do that, you got to go with the ass man. And that's why I'm with EB on this. All right, everybody. That's
Billy Gunn, baby. Yes, I'm an ass. I wanted to be him for Halloween.
Mr. Ass.
I'm sure you would.
Instead, I think we're gonna be Jay and Ice from Hocus Pocus. The Hollywood. The name's Ice. That guy points to the back of his head because I look just like that fucking idiot.
Yeah, you do actually. It's very weird.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's gonna wrap us up for this episode.
But
Thank
what are you
so much.
supposed to be? A new kid on the block? For your information, he's a little leaguer. Remember that classic movie, Hocus Pocus?
Okay,
You sure
everybody.
that wasn't actually you in the movie?
That's going to wrap us up for this episode. We appreciate you guys for sticking along with us this far. If you made it this far, you are a champion. We appreciate you all. It's a happy Victory Monday. It's Giants week. Going up, possibly facing my boy Tyrod Taylor in New York. We'll see if we're going to face Daniel Jones or T. We'll see. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm about to go punish some Texas Roadhouse.
No way.
That
Why didn't
so
you
good,
tell me?
bro.
I'm coming over right now. All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
you
Or New
Kyle.
Frederick.
I'm smelling some stir fry up in this.
Oh,
bitch.
you're going to Texas
I think I
Roadhouse?
want some-
I'll meet you up
Ooh.
there. Tell Courtney I'm coming.
Ooh.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a great, safe week. We really appreciate all you guys. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!